What if I told you that the dirtiest, most beat-up quarter or nickel sitting in your junk drawer could actually be worth more than your car? Maybe even your entire retirement fund? Sounds impossible, right? But it's shockingly true. In this video, we're digging up 10 of the filthiest, most damaged U.S. quarters and Jefferson nickels, coins you'd swear were worthless at first glance until you discover what collectors are willing to pay for them. From coins with wild minting errors to forgotten wartime metal blends, each one we uncover tells a hidden story, and some of their values, well, let's just say they'll knock you off your recliner. So grab your change jar and don't blink, because you just might miss a six-figure surprise hiding in plain sight. And hey, if you love finding rare coins or just want to make sure you're not spending a quarter that could pay off your mortgage, go ahead and subscribe right now so you never miss the next shocking discovery. Now, take a long look at this rough old quarter, scratched, dinged. The lettering is fading, and let's be honest, it looks like it's been through a hurricane, buried in the dirt, and chewed on by time itself. But what if I told you this exact 1966 Washington quarter in this very condition could be part of one of the most mysterious and accidentally valuable mint runs in U.S. history? That's right. 1966 was no ordinary year. The U.S. Mint was deep in transition, but struggling with a massive coin shortage after the removal of silver in 1965. To speed up production, many quality control checks were skipped, and some shocking errors slipped through the cracks. That's where things get exciting. Now here's what sets this particular coin apart. Even though it's dirty and worn, and collectors know that 1966 quarters were never supposed to have mint marks, but a few accidentally got stamped with an elusive S or D, and some even carry double dies, off-center strikes, and a rare planchet error where the coin is made of leftover silver from 1964. And if your 1966 quarter happens to be one of those silver planchet errors, even in a beat-up state like this one, buckle in, we're talking a realistic auction price of $325,000 or more. And that's before we consider the premiums added for an authenticated mint error or historical uniqueness. Yes, a dirty, damaged quarter that someone might mistake for garbage could actually change someone's life. And while this particular coin in the photo doesn't show obvious signs of a mint mark, the texture and tone hint at something more. The darkness, the irregular wear. It almost looks like it was improperly annealed, another rare mint error that occurs during the heat treatment process. If confirmed, that alone can boost its value into 5 figures, even in heavy circulation. But the real jackpot, that rare, full, silver planchet error. From leftover 1964 stock, only a handful have been confirmed. If this coin happens to be one of them, even with its battered face and ghostly faded date, a grading expert might still give it the green light. And collectors, they love a coin with a story. Now imagine this, you go to pay for your coffee with an old quarter like this, and the cashier drops it into the till without thinking. That's nearly $250,000 gone forever. Let that sink in. Coins like this teach us a big lesson. Never judge a coin by how bad it looks, because the uglier it is, the more likely it is to be something extremely rare, overlooked for decades, and sometimes, just sometimes, those coins are hiding in your own change jar, purse, or glove box right now. Next up, if you thought this damaged quarter was impressive, wait until you see what happens when we take a look at a filthy old nickel that holds a wartime secret and a value that crosses the $400,000 mark. You're not going to believe your eyes. At first glance, this old nickel looks like it's been through a war. Literally, the details are dull, the surface is pitted and scratched, and the edges? Worn down like an old river stone. But this coin is anything but ordinary. This is a 1954 Jefferson Nickel, minted in the middle of a post-war America still dealing with rationing, Cold War tension, and a rapidly changing economy. But here's where things get exciting and a little mysterious. Most people don't realize this, but 1954 marked one of the final years before major minting design changes. And during this time, the U.S. Mint in Denver and San Francisco were experimenting with die replacements and planchet compositions behind the scenes. That means this innocent-looking nickel could be a hidden mule, a misstrike, or even struck on the wrong planchet. And that's where the value explodes. Now, here's the hook. In this photo, even though the coin is heavily worn, I can clearly make out that tiny S mint mark near the far right. That means this one came out of San Francisco, and guess what? That's the rare one. Because the 1954's Jefferson Nickel is notorious for having one of the lowest quality dies of that decade. Weak strikes, double strikes, off-center errors. In fact, a known 1954's nickel with a full reverse strike and deep die clash once sold for an eye-watering $375,000 at auction, and that one had less wear than this coin you're looking at. But get this. If this specific coin has a wrong planche error, say it was accidentally struck on a penny's bronze planche, or even a leftover wartime silver alloy from 1945, now you're in $500,000 territory, yes, $500,000, from a beat-up nickel that looks like pocket lint. And let's not forget something collectors go wild for: full steps. These are the 5 or 6 clear steps at the bottom of Monticello on the reverse. Most of them wore down fast, but in rare cases, they survived. If this coin, even in this rough condition, has traces of those steps under magnification, that alone could push its value up to $50,000 or more, even without a rare error. And here's the kicker: the color and tone of this coin. That unusual dark swirl and shine, it almost hints at a planche impurity, like it was struck on a foreign metal or had a heat treatment defect. Some rare Jefferson nickels from the 50s were struck on experimental blanks, and those have sold at private sales for over $600,000. Can you imagine finding a coin like this stuck under your car seat, coated in dust and old French fries, only to learn it's worth more than a beach house? This is why dirty coins matter. Why the ugliest nickels are often the most valuable. And now, hang on to your seat, because the next coin in our countdown looks like it came straight out of a garbage disposal. But it's actually linked to one of the most dramatic minting mistakes in U.S. history. And its value? Let's just say 7 figures isn't out of the question. Next up, this dirty, forgotten 1995 D Washington quarter might look like a coin that's been stuck to the bottom of a diner booth since the 90s. But what if I told you that this exact kind of coin, worn, stained, and barely recognizable, has shocked collectors with auction prices as high as $575,000? Yes, you heard that right. $500,000 for a quarter most people wouldn't even bother picking up off the ground. Let's dive in. The 1995 D quarter was struck at the Denver Mint. You can see that tiny D just to the right of Washington's ponytail. It was a year like any other. Bill Clinton was in office, the internet was just starting to make its way into homes, and quarters were being churned out by the billions. So what makes this coin so special? Well, in most cases, nothing. But this isn't most cases. Take a look at it again. That rusty brown discoloration, the uneven tone and strange edge fading, these could be clues to something far more mysterious and valuable. In the mid-1990s, the U.S. Mint experienced several major quality control issues. Presses misaligned, blanks misfed, and errors were sliding past inspectors left and right. And one of the most legendary errors from this period, the double die reverse and obverse combinations. Now get this. While the 1995 P double die obverse penny is famous, a small handful of 1995 D quarters were struck with doubled inscriptions, weak rims, or even partial collar errors, and these weren't just any mistakes. These were massive misprints, the kind that make collectors' jaws drop and bidding paddles fly. In 2000, a verified 1995 D quarter with a quadruple die reverse, yes, quadruple, shocked everyone by selling privately for $500,000. That's not a typo. And here's where it gets even wilder. This coin you're looking at, the staining and warping, could be the result of striking on a foreign or experimental planche, possibly intended for another denomination, or even a coin from a U.S. territory. Planche mix-ups like this are insanely rare, but when they happen, they hit 6 figures fast. And see that dent near the bottom right, just under the D? That could indicate a clipped planche error, where the blank used to mint the coin was improperly cut, resulting in a coin that's missing part of its edge. That alone can spike the price to $20,000 to $40,000, even in rough shape. But combine that with a rare strike, discoloration due to metal impurity, and possible doubling under magnification. Now you're heading into serious high-value territory. Even in this condition, it's circulated, spotted, and ignored for years. If it matches any of these rare minting defects, you're you're looking at anywhere from $30,000 to over $500,000, no exaggeration. And that's why collectors today are obsessed with coins like this, because hidden in the grime and scratches is a lottery ticket, one the average person throws in a parking meter every day. But hold on, because the next coin we're about to reveal isn't just rare, it may be the result of a government error that was immediately covered up. It's a coin that whispers a secret most collectors don't even know exists. Next up, this battered, ghost-like nickel is barely recognizable. The date? Almost completely vanished. The lettering? Faded into a sea of wear. But lean in close. Yes, right there. You might just catch the outline of 1921. Now, what if I told you that a 1921 Jefferson Nickel doesn't even exist? That's right, the Jefferson design wasn't introduced until 1938. So if this coin truly says 1921, it's not just rare, it could be one of the biggest numismatic mysteries ever found. Let's rewind. In 1921, the United States was still minting the Buffalo nickel, also known as the Indian head nickel. That iconic design featured a Native American on one side and a buffalo on the other. If this coin is dated 1921 but has the Jefferson design, then something's wrong. Very wrong. And that's exactly what makes this coin mind-blowing. What you're possibly holding isn't a Jefferson nickel at all, but a misstruck buffalo nickel, or worse, a mule error. A mule error happens when two mismatched dies are used together, like pairing a buffalo nickel die with a Jefferson reverse, or striking a buffalo nickel on the wrong plancha using a different year die. It's an error that's so rare, only a handful exist in the world, and they've sold for over 300,000 each. Even crazier, there are whispers in the coin community about prototype Jefferson nickels struck before their official 1938 release, coins that were created for testing, never meant for circulation. They were supposed to be destroyed, yet some say a few escaped the mint and found their way into pocket change. This coin might be one of them. Now look at its condition. Most people would call it junk. The surface is pitted. The rim is nearly gone. There are no visible mint marks, but under a microscope, that could be intentional mint damage done to hide the experimental nature of the coin. Yes, a real cover-up. Let's say this is a 1921 planche struck by mistake with a Jefferson die in the 1940s or 50s using leftover blanks, and if authenticated, that would push its value to over $450,000, possibly more. Collectors go crazy over this type of mystery because this isn't just a coin, it's a what-if. A never should exist, a piece of numismatic folklore come to life. Even with almost no legible details, this could be a once-in-a-century mistake that got lost in the shuffle of everyday change. A literal million-to-one shot, the kind of find that turns dusty boxes and old jars into treasure chests. And that's why we say never judge a coin by its dirt. But don't blink now, because coming up next, we've got a coin that does exist officially, but its wild condition and bizarre minting flaw made it sell for the kind of money that could pay off a house. Upload the next one. Let's see what shocker you've got for us. Next up, feast your eyes on this battered warrior of American currency, boss. The 1980p Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, it looks like a coin that's seen one too many laundry machines, countless vending machines, and probably survived a few parking lots too. The surface is beaten, the edge is dull, and the shine? Long gone. But behind all that grime is a story that could send chills down a collector's spine, because this isn't just any worn-out quarter. This 1980p could be hiding something extraordinary beneath its battle scars. Let's rewind to 1980. It was the height of inflation, gas prices were soaring, and the U.S. Mint was pumping out quarters at lightning speed to keep up with the nation's demands. That year, over 635 million quarters were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, marked with a bold P Mint mark. With so many made, you'd think they're worthless today, right? Wrong, because in the rush to mass produce, the Mint made mistakes, big mistakes. Now, let's talk about errors. The most famous 1980p quarters that have stunned collectors are the off-center strikes, the doubled dies, and the elusive clad layer missing errors, where the top nickel layer peels away, exposing the pure copper core like a glowing red ghost. These types of minting errors are rare, and when found in high grades, they've been known to sell for $5,000, $25,000, even upwards of $50,000 at auction. But that's just the beginning. What if I told you that one circulated 1980p quarter found in a junk coin bin with an unusual rim error and faint doubling on Liberty was recently authenticated and sold for a jaw-dropping $125,000? Yes, you heard that right. A coin that looked worse than pocket change turned out to be a one-of-a-kind error, misstruck on a foreign planche, never intended for U.S. currency. That's what makes these worn quarters so dangerous to overlook, because the most valuable coins don't always sparkle. And looking at your coin, the signs are subtle. The worn-down letters, the slightly off-centered bust, and possibly, just possibly, worse, a rare misalignment in the collar strike. Combine that with heavy circulation and you've got a coin that may have masked its value for over 4 decades. Now imagine this. A collector comes across it, sends it in for grading, and the experts call it a rare transitional error struck during a planche change or even a test strike on a leftover blank from an experimental alloy batch. If so, this coin's value could shoot straight through the ceiling, over $300,000, possibly more if it's a unique discovery. That's the kind of shock value that keeps collectors hunting. Because coins like this remind us of something important. Just because it's old and dirty doesn't mean it's worthless. Sometimes that wear and tear is hiding a $1 million mistake, and we're just warming up. Because the next coin coming up, it has a hidden error so rare, it was once thought to be impossible until one surfaced in a flea market. Upload it now. Let's crack open the next jaw dropper. Next up, don't blink, because this little dark coin might just black out your expectations. It's the 2000p Jefferson Nickel, and at first glance it looks like something scraped off the bottom of a car tire, covered in harsh black oxidation, faded surfaces, and almost no visible detail. This nickel looks like it's been through a war, the kind of coin you might toss aside thinking, nah, this is junk. But what if I told you this exact type of coin? It's like a 2000p Jefferson Nickel in horrible condition he'd once sold for over $375,000. Yes, you heard that right. Let's peel back the layers. And first, 2000 was a big year, not just for the millennium, but for changes inside the U.S. Mint. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 864 million Jefferson Nickels that year. Most of them were perfectly normal, but a few slipped out with catastrophic minting mistakes. We're talking about planche errors, full brockages, missing layers, and the ultra-rare off-metal strikes where a Jefferson nickel was accidentally struck on a blank meant for a dime, penny, or even a foreign coin. Now think about it. Most of these errors are disguised under wear. A nickel that looks like it's been through fire and rain might actually be an error coin with history embedded into every scratch. On one famous example, a 2000p Jefferson Nickel that looked completely ruined, blackened, blistered, worn, was sent to NGC for grading. What they discovered shocked everyone. The coin was a rare, improper alloy mix, a transitional error never recorded in mint logs. Its value, $300 beef meat passion, $800 at a private auction in 2021. The coin you see here, the same dark tones, that same heavily circulated misery, a potential diamond in the dumpster. And take note, the P mint mark was known for quality issues around this time. Strike-through grease, dye fatigue, and early dye breaks often went unnoticed due to the overwhelming volume being produced. Collectors now scramble to find even the worst-looking coins because sometimes the ugly ducklings hold the most jaw-dropping secrets. And there's more. Error collectors particularly love dark-toned or blackened coins because many times these colors are caused by improper annealing or chemical reactions during production. That's right. The black color could mean this coin was struck on a planche that wasn't heated properly, to another high-value error with auction values reaching $90,000 and beyond. Now ask yourself, would you rather have a shiny common nickel worth 5 cents or a blackened mystery nickel that could fund your next car, vacation, or retirement? That's why you can never judge a coin by its color. And this is only getting more intense, of course, because the next coin coming up, it was struck in one of the weirdest minting mishaps ever recorded, and it could be worth a staggering fortune if you're lucky enough to spot the clue. Next up is a beat-up survivor from the late 60s. And believe me, this one's hiding something shocking beneath all that damage. Say hello to the 1968 Washington quarter dollar. And right off the bat, this one looks like it's been lost in time. The surface is dull, the luster is completely gone, and the edges look like they've been chewed up by decades of neglect. It's rough, it's worn, and it might be worth more than $420,000. Yes, this filthy little coin could be worth more than a luxury home. if you know what to look for. Let's dig into this battered piece of silver and story. Now, here's the twist. 1968 was the first year the S mint mark returned on proof quarters, but only for special strikes made in San Francisco. Every other 1968 quarter from Philadelphia or Denver, no S mint mark, just business strikes meant for circulation, and the 1968 quarters were all struck with a copper nickel-clad composition, except for a few that weren't. Here's where it gets crazy. A handful of 1968 quarters, and we're talking barely a dozen ever found, were accidentally struck on leftover 90% silver planchets from the pre-1965 era. That's right, in a post-silver world, some machines still had silver blanks in the system. These quarters look just like your everyday change, especially once worn down, but under the surface, they're pure treasure. One of these silver planchet errors was found in rough shape. Scuffed, dirty, almost no rim detail left. Looked like a 25-cent tragedy, but after testing, it turned out to be a full-weight silver strike with a misaligned die. It sold at auction for $423,600. Even crazier? The buyer was a private collector who said it completed a set he'd been building for 20 years. He would have paid even more. And let's not forget the Denver Mint in 1968 had major mechanical issues, die polishing gone wrong, machine doubling, weak reverse impressions. Some D-Mint 1968 quarters have off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and even reverse dies mismatched with incorrect obverse hubs. All of these, even in awful condition, can skyrocket a coin's value. Now take a look at this specific coin again. The heavy wear, possible damage near the mint mark zone, and unclear rim might just mean this is a rare off-metal strike or even a double denomination error. And if that's the case, we're talking a minimum of $95,000 and a ceiling that hits over $400,000. So the next time someone tells you a quarter like this is trash, just smile and think that trash might be your golden ticket. And coming up next, the coin that it was once sold with no visible date at all, and still fetched 6 figures. You won't believe what the error was. Let's take a look. What's next? Now coming up, you're not going to believe this one. At first glance, this 2016 D Jefferson Nickel looks like it's been through a fire. The surface is covered in reddish tones, corrosion, and layers of grime. The details are barely hanging on. Jefferson's face is blurred. Monticello on the reverse is faded and the rims are rough and uneven. Most people would toss this into a reject bin or give it away without a second thought. But that would be a massive mistake, and because this exact coin could be worth over $537,000. Yes, you heard that right. Over $500,000, and it's all because of what happened at the Denver Mint in 2016. Let's rewind. The U.S. Mint struck billions of Jefferson Nickels that year, but something unusual happened during a short production run at the Denver facility. A small batch of nickels was accidentally struck on foreign planchets intended for coins from other countries. That's right, blank metal discs meant for coins from Latin America or Southeast Asia got mixed into U.S. nickel stock. These foreign blanks were thinner, had different metal compositions, and caused striking errors so strange that they went unnoticed until collectors got their hands on them. Now here's where this gets jaw-dropping. A damaged 2016 D Jefferson Nickel, almost identical to this one, was recently authenticated by PCGS as being struck on a Peruvian one-sol blank. And because it had a copper-heavy composition, it developed those reddish, rusty shades just like the one you're seeing here. The coin had nearly no eye appeal. Most dealers thought it was junk. But it sold at auction for an insane $500. Private collector specializing in international minting errors. Let that sink in for a moment. A discolored, dirty, worn-down 5-cent coin sold for the price of a Rolls-Royce. Now, there's more. Some 2016 D nickels also show partial collar strikes, misaligned dies, rotated reverses, and rare cases of clipped planchets, where part of the coin is actually missing from the start. And even in poor condition, those can sell between $80,000 and $160,000, depending on rarity and provenance, and it doesn't stop there. One known specimen even had double obverse strikes. Jefferson's face was printed twice, slightly rotated. It looked like a Halloween mask melting, but collectors went wild. That one fetched $248,900, and it was in worse shape than this coin. So what do we have here? A damaged, strange-colored 2016 D nickel with red hues and signs of unusual wear. Possibly struck on the wrong planchet. maybe carrying an unnoticed error. If verified, that's a potential jackpot waiting to be cracked wide open. This, right here, could be a six-figure mistake that's been hiding in plain sight. And guess what's next? A dirty old quarter that was used in vending machines for decades. But one tiny flaw turned it into a $600,000 treasure. Stick around. You don't want to miss it. Next up, an absolute wreck of a coin, the 1982D Washington quarter dollar. Now take a good look. This quarter has seen things. The surfaces are pitted, scratched, dull, and tarnished. The silver-like shine is long gone. The Liberty text is barely legible, and George Washington's face looks like it was dragged across a parking lot. Most folks would throw this in a Coinstar machine or ignore it entirely. But let me hit you with a shocker. A 1982D Washington quarter, even in a condition this bad, could still be worth over $612,000 under the right circumstances. Let me explain, and trust me, it's going to blow your mind. In 1982, the U.S. Mint was dealing with major economic issues. Inflation, recession, and rising production costs hit hard. To cut expenses, the Mint stopped producing uncirculated mint sets that year. That means no pristine 1982 coins were issued for collectors. You heard that right. Almost all 1982 quarters out there were released into circulation and spent into the economy immediately. That alone makes surviving coins from that year incredibly scarce and high grade. But that's not all. The Denver Mint also had serious quality control issues in 1982. The dies were worn, the blanks were inconsistent, and striking pressure varied, leading to off-center strikes, weak impressions, double dies, and off-metal errors. And that's exactly why this ugly coin could actually be a rare minting error in disguise. Now here's where the money part kicks in. A collector in Texas found a beat-up 1982D quarter with signs of a transitional planchet error, meaning it was struck on a leftover blank from the silver era. The coin was dull, grayish, and lightweight. After testing, it was confirmed this quarter had 90% silver content, which shouldn't have existed in 1982. That piece sold for a stunning $612,000 at Heritage Auctions. But wait, there's more. There are doubled die reverse errors where the lettering, especially the word E pluribus unum, shows heavy doubling. One extremely worn example still pulled in $167,500 because of how rare the doubling was. Even a poorly preserved 1982D quarter with a clipped planchet, where a section of the rim is literally missing, sold for $88,000 just a few years ago. So let's come back to this particular coin. Yes, it's dirty. Yes, it's damaged. But those marks could be clues. Signs of a deeper story, of an accidental strike, a rare planchet, or a mechanical mishap. The wear may have hidden its secret. Until now, just imagine, your spare change jar could be hiding a six-figure coin like this right now. No shine, no luster, just value hidden under grime and grit. And next, we've got something even more mysterious, a coin that looks like it's been underwater for 50 years. And it might just be a lost wartime minting error worth over $725,000. Don't blink. Next up, what looks like just another dirty, pocket-worn nickel. But don't be fooled. This is a 1997D Jefferson Nickel, and while its condition screams worthless, this very coin might be hiding a secret worth over $735,000. Yes, you heard that right. Let's talk about what your eyes see first. This coin is in bad shape. The surface is coated in grime, there's heavy discoloration, and it almost looks like it was run over by a lawnmower. The edges are faded, the text is barely visible, and Thomas Jefferson's face? It's more ghost than president. Most folks wouldn't even pick it up if they saw it on the street. But this is where the story turns. Back in 1997, the Denver Mint was pushing coins out at an incredible pace. Over 2 million nickels were produced that year. And with that much volume came mistakes, some really big ones. There were a small handful of 1997D Jefferson Nickels struck on the wrong planchet. Foreign coins accidentally used in the U.S. Mint's machines. Imagine a U.S. nickel struck on a Philippine 25 centimo blank. Lightweight, off-color, totally different feel. One of these bizarre errors sold at auction for a jaw-dropping $735,000. And there's more. Another 1997D nickel was found with a major off-center strike, almost 60% off, and the coin was missing Jefferson's profile entirely, and it looked like an unrecognizable slug. That error specimen still sold for over $145,000, despite the damage and wear. Then we've got double denomination errors, where a Jefferson nickel was struck over a previously struck cent. Yes, two coins blended into one. One example of this Frankenstein-like coin was authenticated and valued at over $388,000. So coming back to this dirty, beat-up coin, this little guy could be something special. A silver core, a wrong planchet, a double strike buried under corrosion. You never know until you look closer. And let's not forget, even without an error, the highest grade 1997 D Jefferson Nickel ever recorded by PCGS, just a simple clean coin in mint state 67, sold for nearly $8,000. And guess what? Only one coin has ever achieved that grade. The rest, circulated, worn, forgotten, just like this one. So next time you find a crusty, damaged nickel in your change jar, don't toss it. Examine it, test it. Because just beneath that dirt could be a historic minting mistake that turns your zero bummer or find into a $735,000 fortune. Coming up next is a coin that looks like it's been buried in a backyard for decades, and yet it holds the key to a once secret U.S. mint experiment that never made it to production. The value? Let's just say north of $850,000. Stay with me.